Hi, Annakaisa Haapasalo. You are a professor of molecular neurodegeneration and the leader of the Molecular Neurodegeneration Research Group at the University of Eastern Finland. Could you briefly introduce your research group and some of its key focus areas?
Yes, thank you. So we really are interested in the molecular mechanisms of neurodegenerative diseases, and our specific focus is on one of the earlier onset forms of neurodegenerative diseases called frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. And we do a lot of cell-based modeling. So we obtain cells from our patients, and then we generate induced pluripotent stem cells from them, and then we can generate different types of brain cells and generate these model systems for our research. And we use those cells to trying to understand the molecular mechanisms of neurodegeneration, what are involved in these patients also by using these models. So trying to really dive into the molecular level of the disease basis or pathogenesis. And in addition to that, we also collaborate very closely with clinical researchers, and we do biomarker studies. So frontotemporal dementia is currently a disease where we don't really have good biomarkers, such as, for example, for Alzheimer's disease, there are already emerging a lot of very promising biomarkers for diagnosis. For FTD, we don't really have them at the moment. So we are together with our clinical collaborators trying to also contribute to this field and trying to understand specific biomarkers for different clinical and genetic forms of FTD.
Wow, fascinating. And do you have any other examples of the kind of questions you're tackling or projects you have going on?
So yes, we are, for example, doing projects where we utilize these patient-derived cells, and especially we're interested in, for example, synaptic dysfunction in FTD. We know from the patients that the patients have dysfunction of different neurotransmitter systems in the brain, so the kind of transmission of information is not working properly in these FTD patients. So we tried to model this in our iPSC-based neuronal models, and trying to dive into the really at the molecular level, what goes wrong with the neurotransmission and the synapses in the patient-derived neurons, and what drives the synaptic degeneration in these model systems, for example. We also are interested in the immune system dysfunction. Our previous studies in patient samples have shown that there probably is a contribution of the altered immune system in the FTD pathogenesis. So we are interested in the immune cells of the brain, which are called microglia, and how the microglia actually affect the neurons. Can they contribute to the loss of synapses, for example, or neurodegeneration? So we generate these co-culture models of these two different cell types, and then trying to understand if there are differences in the interaction of these cells when we compare to, for example, healthy cells.
Wow, fascinating. And you already mentioned collaboration with the clinicians. Do you have any other kinds of collaborations within the university or beyond it?
We do collaborate a lot, like you mentioned, and I mentioned earlier, also with the clinical researchers, both here locally in Kuopio, also within Finland and in Europe. We are part of different international projects, and we coordinate some of these projects, and where there are also clinicians and basic researchers involved from different European countries. We're also very well networked here in Kuopio. We collaborate with different research groups, for example, who are interested in microglia or look at different neurodegenerative diseases. And also within Finland, we do collaborate a lot with different groups who are doing research on neurodegenerative disorders.
Okay. And what are some of the achievements of your research group that you are proud of?
Well, we have been first in Finland, for example, to generate cell-based models of FTD patients. So this is really that we are using unique models from our unique Finnish patients, and we are also thinking that we have been successful in trying to find out mechanisms at the molecular level using these model systems. So we know a little bit perhaps already what might be going on with the synaptic degeneration, for example, in the neurons based on our studies. And also, like I mentioned previously, related to the immune system alterations. We have also contributed to generation of new or identification of new biomarkers for FTD, especially for their differential diagnosis from different brain diseases. So we have published together with our clinical collaborators some papers on this, and we hope that this is really kind of having an impact at some point in the clinical diagnostic work in the hospitals that would benefit then these patients also in the future.
And talking about impact, is there any other kind of impact that you hope that your research group's work will have in the future in next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Well, also in collaboration with these European groups with whom we are partners in these different EU-funded projects, we really hope to provide these new biomarkers for different types of FTD. So I think this is really important, and it would make the diagnosis easier. It would shorten the diagnostic paths for these patients, also help to define maybe the disease better. And also when we are then looking at these molecular mechanisms in our model systems, we hope that from these studies we can find maybe new biomarker candidates that then could later be tested whether they have this clinical impact, let's say, or usefulness. Also, we hope that perhaps our studies in maybe not tomorrow or to next week, but in the future, that these molecular mechanistic studies would provide us maybe new targets for finding treatment for FTD patients and perhaps other neurodegenerative disease patients as well.
Sounds impactful indeed. Then the most important question, why should researchers choose your research group for their postdoc? What makes your research group amazing?
Well, we really do have an amazing research group. So we are, at the moment, we have 3 postdocs and 4 PhD students who form the core of our group. We have a very international and energetic group. We have 6 nationalities in our group at the moment. So we are very much welcoming people from different countries to our group. The group members are super nice, and they are very collaborative and helpful towards each other. And I feel that we have a very nice atmosphere in our lab that is very positive, and that everybody is helping each other, and we kind of have common goals where everybody is striving together that we would achieve those goals. So we are a very nice group and easily approachable. So yes, we are looking for other or additional great members to join the group. We are looking forward to that.
Thank you very much, Annakaisa.
Thank you.